Hey guys, I am going to introduce you to someone that has a total different concept of marketing. This person is actually going to teach us how to market using your office. Now, it's a very interesting concept. We interviewed her and we thought, wow, this would be a great podcast topic. So that's why I'm bringing this to you. And let us know what you think. At the end of this, I would love to see the comments of what you think about this different style of marketing. So without further ado, enjoy the show.
Hello, and welcome to Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses, the podcast where you will discover all the latest and greatest digital marketing tools, tips, and strategies you will need to implement in order to stay ahead of your competition. If you are not getting the results you are looking for from your digital marketing efforts, this is the podcast for you. And now, here's the host of our show, the local business guy himself, Frank Deming.
Hello, everyone. This is Frank Deming, the local business guy, and welcome to another episode of Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day, everyone. I hope you guys are having a rockin' week so far. Today, I have a special treat, as I said in the pre-intro. I have a different concept when it comes to marketing. I always talk about digital marketing. I always talk about Facebook, Google ads, all of the stuff that you probably already heard of. But I'm going to bring a lady today that's going to educate us on a different form of marketing. I'm not even going to spoil it. I'm going to let her talk about it. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Carolyn Boldt. Hi, Carolyn. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Frank. Nice to meet you. Good to be here. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. All right. So I said a few things about you already in the pre-intro. However, in your own words, who is Carolyn Boldt? Who are you and what do you do?
So I am my trade of choice, my educated trade of choice is I'm an interior designer, an architectural commercial interior designer. But my life is I'm a business owner. So I own a small business and our specialty is designing holistic healthcare offices around the country. And we do it all virtually. So our goal is to help elevate the clinics and the doctors' offices that we work with so that they are more successful.
Awesome. Now, as I also mentioned a little bit, you have a very interesting take on marketing. Because you work with a lot of brick and mortar businesses. I know one of your, based on the research I've done, one of your biggest niches are the chiropractic offices, but you do other offices as well. But enlighten me once again, what is it about that whole marketing trend and office furniture? I would love to hear that.
Yes. So my job here is to help educate your clients, your people, the people that are listening to you, specifically the ones that have brick and mortar, on how important the intentional design of their office space is to support their clients and their marketing efforts. So it is very brick and mortar based. So if you're an internet marketing based, you can just listen and observe and hear. But if you're brick and mortar based, your office is like a package around your services. And it's either going to support your brand and support your image and support your message, or it not. And most small businesses are not even aware of it. So in the interior design industry, in the interior design business, there's a whole part of our job as commercial interior designers is to elevate the return on investment of their office space so that the office space actually helps them be more profitable, make more money.
They generate money just from the office business. I never actually never considered that concept.
So think of it this way. Think of it as your like a brochure. Think of it as a package. Another way to describe it is imagine that you're going to buy a product and you're going to go into a store and whatever that product is. Let's just say it's a personal item that you're buying. Maybe it's different types of razors. Let me just use that as an example. And you're going to go down the aisle, you're going to glance over that and you're going to be attracted to different products based on the package. That's the first impression. And that package was designed, if you pick up a package that you like, that package was designed to attract you, who you are as their ideal client. So now let's think about your office space. Your office space is like that package around your services. When a client or customer or a patient or whoever first walks in your space, they're going to form an impression about you, your services, your quality, your expertise, immediately based on that first impression of what they see in front of them when they walk into your office space.
Right. So if I'm understanding you correctly, so let's just say someone's doing some outstanding work with marketing, bringing them to their office space. Are you saying that the office space can actually then detract? So you've done all this work and then you bring them in there and then all of a sudden they lose interest because of the office space. Is that what you're saying?
Bingo. Absolutely. Right. Yes. So that's why we started doing what we did. So I'm just going to speak very frankly. We started in the chiropractic industry doing this. I have a background in doing all types of design, corporate design, retail design, hospitality design, et cetera, but began focused in the chiropractic. We were working at Life University. We were doing their office spaces, their classrooms, their facilities, their all of that, very corporate oriented, but I was around the chiropractic industry. And one of the things that I know is that I'm just going to speak this, the overall image of a chiropractic office was not very positive. It was not very positive at all. Shabby, poverty, not quality, et cetera. And here were chiropractors trying to deliver excellent service, but the office, when someone walked into their office, it was dirty, it was cluttered, it was dated, it was torn up furniture. It just did not represent the brand that they themselves were trying to promote.
Yeah. Yeah, but it would be a shame if you spent, money to get people to your office and the office is the one that didn't seal the deal, or they don't come back because they didn't have a good experience or something like that. So yeah, I can see how that is the case. That's why I wanted to bring you on because, I'm always talking about digital marketing. I'm always talking about all that stuff. But, if you don't have everything together, and that's the sales process is also has to be on point, but your office. So you never thought about that side. I always thought about the sales side, but never thought about that side. So that's a good point. I'm very, very happy that you're here so you can educate us on this topic. Now let's talk about expense because, we always talk about marketing expenses, because this is now we're going to package this up into a marketing plan, basically. So why is your office your biggest marketing expense?
Because it's an expensive item. It is very expensive. I mean, your office space, whether you own the space or whether you're renting the space, it's a big part of your operation line item on your operations is the expense of your office. So so what you do to it aesthetically, I'm just going to talk aesthetics. I'm not going to talk about function and flow, the flow of an office, because that's important too. Mm-hmm. So let me kind of back up. So a lot of people understand when they're, especially they're in some type of practice where the flow through their office is critical to their profitability. Mm-hmm. I'm speaking specifically about doctors' offices right now. Okay. And so as a patient walks in and the nurses and the doctors and the CAs and all of those flow around, all of that, if it's not efficient, it's going to cost them money. So that's the operational side of that. But we're not going to talk about that today because that's a whole nother subject. What we're going to talk about is, yes, when someone walks in, does your office emulate the success of your practice? Or does it look like your office is shabby and poor? Think about when you go into different retail stores. Mm-hmm. Okay, I teach classes to students, and one of the things we talk about is the experience that you have, and I have no criticism at all for Walmart at all. Do you follow me? They're a very, very viable growing firm. But when you walk in there, you don't expect great service. You expect low prices. You don't expect great service. They're set up that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the design itself supports that. You have very, very bright lights. You have really bold primary colors. You have a lot of signage. You have a lot of information shooting at you. All of that supports the low price leader, right? All of that supports that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's turn around and let's go into a high-end designer store, like a Giorgio Armani. You walk in, it's not cluttered. The lights have different variations of lights. It's softer colors. You don't see prices anywhere. You know, you do get amazing service on those type of stores. So that whole environment is designed to support what they're selling. So as a client, as a business owner, you need to decide where you want to be, and then you design your office to support that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes tons of sense. And it also reminded me of a story I want to share with you. It was so funny. One time we were talking about having no prices. One time I was down in Miami, and I was on Ocean Drive, and I was with my wife at the time, and we were just, we wanted, it was our last night in Miami, and we wanted to have something pretty decent to eat and whatever. And we walk into this restaurant, and the restaurant didn't have any prices on there. Yeah. So I looked at her and I said, this is going to be pretty high. So when the bill comes, let's just act like we belong and just. Yeah.
If you have to ask, you can't afford it kind of
right.
idea. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's kind of, it's interesting how places like that, like, those types of stores never have prices. It's kind of interesting.
It is interesting.
But anyway, that was a little segue side chat there.
That was a good point. You walked in and you immediately, your expectations were set up probably from the environment also, right?
Yeah. But you walk into places that look similar to that, but they have prices in them. Like you go to, Capitol Grill. It's a chain, right? But you can get a pretty decent steak there, but they have prices there. And it's the same lighting. It's the same type of, like a Ruth Chris, even.
Yes.
Ruth Chris, Morton's. It's the same type of deal, but you see the price there. This place had no price.
I understand. There was some marketing psychology to that, and I don't know if I could answer it, but there probably was some marketing psychology.
There's something about it, yeah. All right, so back to the subject at hand here. So let me ask you a question. We're talking about space here and making sure that it basically, this space should be designed to make you money, right? Because it's gonna attract a certain clientele. But let me ask you this though: how often do you think that, let's say you're set up and it's looking great, but how often, or if you do, or do you have to anyway? How often do you think you have to freshen up your space, like to make it more today?
More today. Okay. Well, there's some big rules of thumb to go with. Number one is there's cleanliness is on a regular basis. So having decluttering is something that it's amazing. In fact, I'm looking behind me going, okay, look at the clutter behind me right now. Decluttering is something that we need to purposely do on a regular basis because the cluttered space appears less valuable than one that's not cluttered, that's all organized. So
I can't let my girlfriend listen to this episode because she's gonna be, you see, I tell you. Anyway, go ahead, continue.
So when people walk in the space, you want them to feel uncluttered. You want them to know where they want to focus. So decluttering is something that should be done on a regular basis. It is very interesting that most people can live around their clutter until it's overwhelming to them. But yet very early before it becomes overwhelming to them, it's probably overwhelming to other people. So what we suggest is you have other people be real honest with you about, am I cluttered? What do I need to do? Do you know what I'm saying? Almost like someone coming in and doing styling. Let let me give you a really good example. Anyone that's ever tried to sell their house have probably had the real estate people come in and say, you need to unclutter. The majority of them will. And if you unclutter, you'll get more money for your house. It's amazing. So it's the same it's a psychology of space. It's a psychology of how people feel in space.
Yeah.
So decluttering is a regular thing. Keeping things clean, meaning walls painted, things unupholstered, looking at upholstery that is torn or dirty or things like that. That's probably something you need to look at about once a year in a commercial space. Okay.
Once a year.
Now, do you totally need to change the color of the paint? No, but do you need to look and do touch up and scuffing, maybe some deep cleaning? Bathrooms need to be clean, things of that sort.
Mm-hmm.
So that's about a good 6 months to once a year to just kind of do an overview of that.
Okay.
The big picture is that everything dates in 7 years, 7 to 10 years. So there's the cycle of style, and that'll happen every 7 to 10 years. It happens in clothing, it happens in architecture and design, it happens in market branding. I mean, think about website design and how that is constantly evolving, and we need to freshen up those type of things. Now, print material and digital material is going to date a lot faster than your physical office space, thank goodness. Because physical office space is going to be more expensive to change. But but it's going to date. So you need to just put that into your budget, that you're going to need a refresh every 7 to 10 years of the things that will date: colors, styles, lighting, things of that sort.
7 to 10 years, that's not bad, actually, because we have to refresh our websites every 3 years. At least that's what the Google gods tell us. We just have to refresh it, update it, whatever.
Yeah.
But 7 to 10 years, that's not bad.
No, also, not in relation to what you just said. Absolutely.
And but another thing you said that triggered something in my head was when you were talking about oh my God, it's escaping it was on the tip of my tongue and it just left me. But I know I was going to come back. But it was interesting to me how you went through the phases as the paint, the cluttering, and how the real estate relates to it. And it just came back to me. But the thing that really I was interested in is when you have something that you could get comfortable looking at and getting someone else to tell you, that is key. Because I could remember, this is a long time ago, my first office I used to have this garbage can towards the where the front door was. Because I would say, if someone wants to throw something out, they have it in their hand. It's a convenient spot. So to me, I was just so used to seeing it there, and it was great until, someone was like, I don't think that looks good there.
Interesting.
So using that as an example, how what you were saying, I was like, using someone else to say, hey, be honest with me. How does my space look?
How does my space? You just said something like you said that about in the digital world, you need to update your website. What'd you just say? Every 3 years?
Every 3 years, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So is that so I'm going to ask you a question. Is that because of technology changes or is because of style? Tell me why.
Technology changes, trends. In this business, you don't want to be behind trends.
Okay.
You never want to fall behind. Like if long form content is the style now, it may not be the style in 2-3 years. So then you shorten up the content. If images, if big images was big, back in the day, small images may come back. And so you just got to follow the trend. So you got to change up your website.
Now that is something I needed to hear. Because I didn't know. I would just thought, hey, style changes, historically. So when you study interior design and study architecture, you spend a lot of time studying art and architecture history.
Mm-hmm.
And so much of, and it's still 7 to 10 years. It's interesting how it's been that way for a long time, but how all of the styles through the, through classical design and the Greek and the Roman and all those things, they were very, very much dictated by the political situation at the time.
Right.
So it's interesting because now we've got, your IT stuff that you're dealing with, you're by what's new and what's faster and what's, so
exactly.
3 years, I mean, is it getting shorter because IT is so advanced?
It is. It used to be every, close to what you were saying, like every well, it was like 5 to 7 years back in the day. Now it's 3 years. So
yeah. Wow. Well, fortunately, I don't think design does that. Interior design architecture does that because I think it would be, but it is kind of interesting. I mean, so let me speak this. We're talking general design.
Right.
Trendy design will date very quickly.
Mm.
Okay. So if you think about really trendy design, and sometimes I'm going to use the example of some restaurants. You have a new and upcoming restaurant. They're going to be really flashy, really trendy, really stuff. That's probably going to be gone in 3 to 5 years as far as that style.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? The more classic styles will last longer. So when we do offices, we tend to try to be more classic and less trendy, but sometimes.
I don't see though a chiropractic office being quote unquote trendy. I think it's a pretty standard. But I mean, you're the expert. I mean, I've been to several because I have certain clients who are chiropractors, and they all have pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But sometimes you just said that about websites. Sometimes you want a little bit of trendiness.
Okay.
Let me use an example because you want to look cutting edge. You want to look different. You want to look new. You want to look. So when we design an office, we talk to them about what is your goal as far as who you are to the community.
Mm.
What is your presence? What's your archetype? What's your persona? What's all of those things? Just like you would in graphic design, right? Like, what are you trying to present? We're doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. And we're thinking about it in terms of the 3-dimensional space instead of just the not flat, but the moving visual space, like you would in marketing.
Hey guys, I hope you guys are enjoying the content that our guest is bringing you today. Incidentally, speaking of the guests, if you would like to be a guest on this show, if there's something that you would like to promote when it comes to digital marketing or anything within your business that you would like to promote, give us a call at 888-416-7752 or simply send us an email at info@lbmsllc.com. Someone from my office will then send you the podcast intake form and we will schedule you on the show. So if that's something you would like to do, go ahead and do that and I'll put you on the show. For now, enjoy the rest of the show. So you try to go for the wow factor when you design an office space for someone.
We do. And so the wow factor can be trendy, but we need to put it into a way that it's easily changeable and not costly to change. Okay. So paint colors are the best example. Paints date, right? So
do they?
They do. They date. So
shows you how much I know.
Yeah. So see, that's not your business. It's my business to know, right?
Gotcha.
So they date. So, but paint is the easiest, the least expensive things to change.
Right.
So you can be flashy and trendy with paint at times. Surface textures, like for example, barnwood. Do we remember when barnwood was the thing that everybody wanted? We don't see it as much anymore.
That's true.
Or the years that everything was super gray. We don't see that anymore. It's trending more to warm colors. Mm-hmm. So little things like that you can.
Yeah, all that stuff is it's funny that it's all subtle, but everything has its own job, if you will. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Let me ask you this. This is a little bit of an off topic here, but. Okay. Do you feel that it's best to say match the website with the office space. So you got this website, it's got these colors and all this stuff. So now you're going to design do you look at the website and go, okay, let me design the office to kind of match the colors of the website, or that doesn't really matter?
But let me just say, we need to make sure it complements each other. So let me give you an example. Now I know that I don't know if everybody can see it, but I'm looking at your logo up on the screen in front of me and stuff. So you've got a lot of tealy blues, you've got some green, you've got some brilliance to it. You would not want to put those colors directly on a wall because they would fade themselves. So PMS colors for a logo are much more rich and saturated than you would ever want to paint a whole wall. But we would want to make sure that when that logo went up on the wall, it was complementary. So we wouldn't want to paint the wall purple, right? Do you follow what I'm saying? So we want to make sure it blends and complements with the colors of specifically your logo, because your logo is kind of your foundation usually of your brand, your foundational color. And so that would stream out from there. So logos, especially people that go to companies that have their logos designed by a graphic designer who talks to them through, why are you doing what you're doing and what are you doing? And they're designing your logo just like we would design your office space.
Right.
What is the image you want to present?
Yeah. That's very important. That's interesting. So yeah, that's definitely the whole picture. Everything is the whole picture. Now, out of curiosity, I know you're in the Atlanta area. Do you work outside of that area? Like, can you design an office remotely?
We only design remotely. Even if we have a client here in Atlanta, we still do remotely. So
interesting. I should have started with that question.
I have designers in South Carolina. I have a couple of designers here around the Atlanta area, but an hour or so from our main office. I have a designer that's in Colorado. So my designers are all over. So we're all virtual, and we've actually been virtual. We started virtual in 2011 when we started doing chiropractic offices, mainly because the volume of chiropractors in the Atlanta area could not sustain us. We knew that we had to find a way to serve outside. So we've been virtual design for 12 years?
That's outstanding. I have a virtual team as well, so I totally get it. I love it. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to have a few more questions here, and then I'll let you go. I know you're a very busy woman. I just want to get some kind of, we talked about the wow factor, right? So I want to give my client, my listeners, my audience, the wow factor about you. So I want you to wow them, right? So I want you to say something. So is there like 5 things that they should be looking for when, let's say you or your team evaluates their office space? Is there anything like that? Doesn't have to be 5. It could be less.
I can go and make it right. So let me kind of speak to, we have kind of 2 different audiences that we work with. They're the same audience, but they have 2 different circumstances. We have the circumstance where someone is moving into, or they're opening, or they're a new office. Okay. So that new space requires space design. It requires architecture design. It requires permits. It's a different animal, right? So that one is you're kind of going into a new space. You could either be your second office. It could be you're moving an office, your 5th office, whatever, but it's a new space. So we call that more of a new build. It could be a renovation of existing, but you're moving into it. You don't occupy it, unoccupied. Okay. So in that situation, we suggest that our clients first, before they ever lease a space, get really, really clear on how many square feet they need and what the image they want before they ever go look for space. So that would be my big advice. We have clients come to us every day that have already leased a space and then tell us what they want to do with it. And there's not enough square footage to do what they want to do. Okay. So they get stuck in that they've already put money into this space and now they can't have the business that they really dreamed they'd have. So it's just like that planning as you're thinking about, hey, I want to open an office space, really start to think about, okay, let me just throw out 1,200 square feet. You're in New Jersey, right? 1,200 square feet is pretty luxurious depending on where you are in New Jersey. But it's like, okay, I can afford 1,200 square feet. What can I get in 1,200 square feet? Is one way to go. Another way to go is, this is ideally what I want to do. Ideally, I would love 1,500 square feet. But if I only find 1,200 square feet, what can I give up? And what can I do? Do I have less exam rooms? Do I have whatever? So knowing functionally because every inch of your space when you're a doctor or a physician or chiropractor should produce money for you, right? It should be a money place. So every inch of it is important. So that's number one that I would suggest to people that are getting ready. Their lease is up and they're thinking about a new space. They're going to buy a building, whatever. Know the numbers of the square footage that you need before you actually make some commitments to that space. That's on that side over here. Then the other people that we work with a lot are those that just really need a new look, a refresh, a rebranding, maybe they're adding some services to their office. Maybe they're changing, or maybe they bought a practice that they want now to become their label instead of the old doctor's labels. So that is more of an interior image project. At the same time that we would tell them, that's where you decide how much money do I want to put into a space that's already existing when I just need aesthetic changes. Does that make sense? I don't need functional changes. I need aesthetic changes.
Makes sense.
So kind of working through how it's a process. Okay. So we can help them work through what's the most broken and what would be idealistic. Do you know what I'm saying? Just just about anything. But really that whole thing about the existing practice, one of the free resources that I'm offering to your listeners is a 5-point designer checklist. And it literally is the first 5 things that we would do as a designer if we walked through a space that needed a refresh. And it starts with clutter. And it starts with exactly what I said. Have someone else that you trust come in and be an advisor for you to look at that space. So that's the 2 different markets.
That works. That works. I know firsthand without even meeting you. So what I want to do here, Carolyn, is I want to be able to first of all, tell me what the website is. What's your website?
So our company's name is CrossFields, CrossFields. So you can just Google that and find us. But we are listed under Chiropractic Office Design.
Okay.
.com. Okay. But it's CrossFields Chiropractic Office Design. If you type in CrossFields, we should come up. So that's us. And
I'm going to put a link to that website on the show notes. I'm also going to put a link to your LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram information on the show notes. So if anyone wants to connect with Carolyn, you can do so there. But you also mentioned the gift that you have for the listeners, and I'll put a link to that as well. But that you can find it at chiropracticofficedesign.com/LBMS, and the LBMS is all caps. But like I said, I will put that in the show notes as well. So Caroline, before I let you go, is there anything I did not ask you that you think would benefit the audience?
My goal is that people become aware of their space and that it impacts their success. So have you asked me enough questions that you think your listeners would understand that?
It's throwing it back at me, guys. Did you see how she just did that?
Did I did I meet my goal? That's my question.
Right. Well, I had those are the questions that I had because I found it a very interesting concept, how to tie marketing to your office space. Never thought of it that way.
Yes.
I was floored when I heard that concept, so I had to put you on. I'm hoping that my listeners are just as floored, and they will check out that free resource that you have for them.
Yes.
Just head on over there and check it out. It can't hurt, guys, and trust me, if you're spending money on marketing, you don't want to disappoint them when they get there. So that's something that I think that you have to take in consideration.
Absolutely. Very well said. Very well said.
So with that, I am going to bid farewell to this episode. Next week, I'll be back with my normal topics of digital marketing. I know you guys are bored about that, so I like to bring people like Carolyn on to just change it up a little bit, But with that, I'm going to bid farewell. This has been Frank Deming, the local business guy, and you've just been blessed by the great Carolyn Boldt. Take care, everyone. Until next week. Peace out.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses, the podcast where you will discover all the latest and greatest digital marketing tools, tips, and strategies you will need to implement in order to stay ahead of your competition. Don't forget, any links that were mentioned during the broadcast will be available to you in the show notes, so be sure to grab them while you have the chance. Incidentally, if you have any topics that you would like for us to discuss on the show, be sure to send an email to the email provided in the show notes, or click the Contact Us link and let us know what topic you would like us to help you with, and we'll be sure to add it to our schedule. If you would like for Frank and his team to look at your digital marketing presence and give you a free evaluation, simply click the Request a Free Consultation link in the show notes to get a hold of them. That being said, until our next episode, make it a successful digital marketing day. Peace out.